My parents took my college fund to buy my brother a car. I cut them off completely. Before we dive in, let me know where you're watching from. Drop your location in the comments. And if you haven't yet, please hit like, tap subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a story. I stood in our living room, staring at my parents like they'd just spoken a foreign language. My mom twisted her hands together, not meeting my eyes. Dad cleared his throat for the third time. "Maya, we need to talk about your college fund," he said quietly. My stomach dropped. I was 17, 3 months from high school graduation. That fund was my ticket to State University, where I'd already been accepted. I'd worked so hard for this. "Your brother needs a car for his new job," Mom added quickly. "It's a real opportunity for him. He can't keep borrowing ours." I looked at my brother Derek, who stood by the window wearing a satisfied smirk. He was 23, still living at home, jumping from job to job. This was his 5th real opportunity in 2 years. "You're using my college money to buy Derek a car?" My voice came out sharper than I intended. Dad shifted uncomfortably. "We'll help you apply for loans. Lots of kids take out loans. But that money was mine. Grandma left it specifically for my education." My hands were shaking now. "We're your parents. We decide what's best for this family," Mom said firmly. Derek's smirk grew wider. That's when I knew. They'd already decided. I was just being informed. I remember when Grandma set up that fund. I was 8 years old, sitting on her floral couch while she explained that education was the most important gift anyone could receive. She'd never gone to college herself, working in a factory for 40 years. "Don't let anyone take this from you, Maya," she'd said, squeezing my small hand. "This is your future." She'd put in $30,000. Her entire life savings. It wasn't a fortune, but with my part-time job savings and a small scholarship I'd earned, it was enough. I'd planned everything down to the textbook budget. Derek never liked Grandma much. He said she was too strict, too old-fashioned. The truth was, she saw through him. She watched him quit baseball, quit piano, quit the robotics club. She saw him blame everyone else for his failures. When she died 2 years ago, I cried for weeks. Derek barely attended the funeral. Yet now, my parents were taking her gift to me and handing it to him on a silver platter. I went upstairs to my room and locked the door. Mom called after me, but I ignored her. I pulled out my laptop and opened my banking app. They didn't know I'd been preparing for something like this. Since I was 14, I'd been babysitting, tutoring, and doing yard work around the neighborhood. Every dollar I earned went into my personal savings account. My parents never asked about it. They were too focused on Derek and his potential. I stared at my account balance, $18,347. 3.5 years of work. Money I never touched, never spent on clothes or movies or anything fun. I'd been saving for emergencies, for textbooks, for anything college threw at me. But now I realized something crucial. I didn't need their stolen money anymore. I had my scholarship covering half of tuition. I had my savings. I could take a small loan for the rest and work part-time during school. I could do this completely on my own. A strange calm washed over me. If my parents thought I was helpless without them, they were about to learn otherwise. I opened my acceptance letter from State University again. The scholarship was guaranteed for 4 years if I maintained a 3.5 GPA. I'd graduated high school with a 3.9. I could do this. I started making a list. First, open a new bank account at a different bank, one my parents couldn't access. Second, get all my important documents. My phone buzzed. Derek was texting me, "Don't be dramatic. It's just a car." I blocked his number. The next morning at breakfast, they acted like nothing had happened. Mom made pancakes, Derek's favorite. Dad read the newspaper. Derek scrolled through car listings on his phone, grinning like it was Christmas morning. I poured cereal into my bowl, silent. "Maya, we know you're upset, but you'll understand when you're older," Dad said, not looking up from his paper. "Family comes first. Your brother needs this car to keep his job. You can go to community college for 2 years, then transfer." Community college. They'd rewritten my entire future in one conversation. "I already got accepted to state," I said quietly. "And you can defer for a year, work, save up," Mom added, flipping another pancake. "It'll build character." Character. I'd worked every weekend for 3 years while Derek played video games in the basement. I'd earned a scholarship while he barely graduated high school. But I needed to build character. "So Derek's car builds family unity, but my education can wait?" I asked. "Don't be selfish," Derek said, mouth full of pancakes. "You're 17. You have time. I need to establish my career now." His career as a delivery driver. His 5th job this year. I finished my cereal in silence and went to school early. At school, I headed straight to the guidance counselor's office. Mrs. Patterson had helped me through the college application process. She looked up from her computer and smiled, but her expression changed when she saw my face. "Maya, what's wrong?" I explained everything. The stolen college fund. The car. The expectation that I'd just defer my dreams. Mrs. Patterson's face went from concern to angry. "That money was designated for your education. There may be legal options," she said carefully. I shook my head. "I don't want to sue my parents. I just want to know if I can make this work without them." She pulled up my file. "Your scholarship covers 50% of tuition. With your savings, federal loans, and a part-time job, you could do this independently. It won't be easy, but Maya, you're one of the most determined students I've ever counseled." We spent an hour running numbers. She helped me apply for additional small scholarships I'd missed. By the time I left her office, I had a plan. A real, workable plan that didn't include my parents' help at all. I felt powerful. For the first time in 24 hours, I felt in control. That afternoon, I opened a new bank account across town. Over the next 2 weeks, I moved like I was preparing for battle. I transferred all my savings to the new account. I got copies of my birth certificate, social security card, and passport from the home safe while my parents were at work. I changed my phone plan to a prepaid one they couldn't cancel. Derek got his car, a shiny blue sedan that cost $28,000. Almost exactly what Grandma had left me. He parked it in the driveway like a trophy. My parents kept trying to talk to me, but I stayed polite and distant. "I'm fine," I'd say. "Just busy with finals." They seemed relieved I wasn't making a scene. They had no idea what I was really doing. My friend Jasmine was the only person who knew everything. "You're being so calm about this," she said one afternoon at her house. "I would have burned that car down." I smiled slightly. "I'm angry. But I'm channeling it into something better." "You're scary when you're determined," she laughed. But her eyes were proud. I'd also been applying for every campus job available. By graduation, I had 3 offers: library assistant, dining hall worker, and administrative help at the student center. I accepted all 3, planning my schedule carefully. My parents thought I was crumbling. Really, I was building. Graduation day arrived. I wore my blue gown and walked across the stage to accept my diploma. My parents cheered. Derek was on his phone. I smiled for the photos, but inside I felt nothing but determination. At the family dinner that night, Dad made a toast. To Maya, who's going to take a gap year and figure things out. We're proud of your maturity in accepting the situation. I raised my glass of soda but didn't drink. They'd convinced themselves I'd given up. Good. Actually, I said quietly, I'm starting at State University in August. Everything's arranged. Mom's fork froze halfway to her mouth. What? We told you to defer. I'm 18 now. I don't need your permission. My voice stayed calm. I have scholarships, loans, and 3 campus jobs lined up. I'm going. Dad's face reddened. Maya, be reasonable. How will you afford housing? Food? Books? I've done the math. It's covered. Derek laughed. With what money? Your minimum wage savings? I looked directly at him. With money I earned myself. Something you might try sometime. The table went silent. Mom looked like she might cry. Dad looked angry. Derek looked shocked that I'd finally snapped back. I excused myself and went to my room. My hands were shaking, but I felt alive. The next morning, Dad cornered me in the kitchen. Maya, we're your parents. You can't just reject our help and advice. You didn't offer help. You took what was mine and gave it to Derek. I poured my coffee carefully. So now I'm doing this alone. You're being stubborn and foolish. You'll fail without family support. I met his eyes. Then I'll fail. But it'll be my failure, not because you decided my brother's convenience mattered more than my future. He opened his mouth, closed it, then walked away. That afternoon, Mom tried a different approach, guilt. She came to my room with red eyes. This is tearing our family apart. Grandma wouldn't want this. Grandma left me that money for college. You're the ones who ignored her wishes. My voice stayed level. I'm not tearing the family apart. I'm just not pretending everything's fine when it isn't. We're your parents. We deserve respect. Respect goes both ways, Mom. She left my room crying. I felt a tiny crack in my resolve, but I pushed it away. They'd made their choice. Now I was making mine. I had 10 weeks until college started. I picked up extra babysitting jobs and saved every penny. July arrived with hot, sticky weather. Derek's new car broke down twice, turned out he'd bought a lemon. My parents paid for repairs, of course. Meanwhile, I worked 40 hours a week at a local retail store, adding to my moving fund. My parents barely spoke to me anymore. When they did, it was about my attitude or my ingratitude. Never about what they'd done. Never an apology. Derek tried to borrow money from me once. I laughed in his face. Ask Mom and Dad. Oh wait, you already took my share. His face went red. You're being a selfish brat about a stupid car. And you're a 23-year-old man who needed his parents to steal from his little sister to buy you a car. Which one of us should be embarrassed? He didn't talk to me after that. Fine by me. Jasmine helped me shop for dorm supplies at thrift stores. We found everything I needed for under $200. You're going to crush it at college, she said, hugging me in the parking lot. They'll regret this. I shook my head. I don't need them to regret it. I just need them to see I don't need them. Move-in day was August 15th. I'd arranged everything without my parents' involvement. I called my Aunt Carol, Mom's sister, and asked if she'd drive me to campus. She agreed immediately. Carol had never gotten along well with my parents, and when I told her the situation, she was furious. They did what? Her voice rose sharply through the phone. Your college fund? For Derek's car? Yeah. So I'm handling it myself. Maya, I'm so sorry. I wish I'd known. I could have helped. You're helping now. That's enough. August 15th came on a warm Saturday. I loaded my belongings into Carol's van while my parents watched from the front door. They looked uncomfortable, unsure if they should help or stay back. Derek's car sat in the driveway, already dirty and scratched. He wasn't even awake to say goodbye. Maya, please reconsider, Mom said as I loaded my last box. This is ridiculous. You're throwing away family over money. No, Mom. You chose money over my future. I'm just choosing to survive anyway. Dad stepped forward. When you fail, and you will, don't expect us to bail you out. I looked at both of them, these people who'd raised me but didn't really see me. I won't, I said simply. Carol hugged them both stiffly and we drove away. In the side mirror, I watched our house disappear. I didn't cry. I felt free. State University was 3 hours from home. The campus sprawled across green lawns with brick buildings and massive oak trees. Students and parents crowded the dorms, unloading cars and laughing. Carol helped me carry everything to my third-floor room. My roommate, Becca, was already there with her massive family, parents, 2 siblings, and both grandparents. They welcomed me warmly, but I felt a pang seeing their easy affection. That could have been me. Carol must have sensed it. She pulled me aside. You're going to be amazing here. Don't let their choices dim your light. After she left, I unpacked alone while Becca's family decorated her side of the room. I didn't mind. I'd learned to be comfortable with solitude. That evening, I attended orientation. The campus buzzed with energy and possibility. A senior gave a speech about making college your own, about becoming who you were meant to be. I felt something shift in my chest, hope mixed with determination. I started my first campus job the next day. The library was quiet and peaceful, and my supervisor, Ms. Chen, was kind. You're very efficient, she noted after my first shift. Have you worked in libraries before? No, but I'm a fast learner. She smiled. I can tell. Classes started, and I dove in completely. Biology, chemistry, English composition, calculus, and psychology. I was pre-med, planning to become a pediatrician. It was a long road, but I'd always loved science and helping people. Between classes, I worked my 3 campus jobs, carefully rotating schedules. Mornings in the library, afternoons in the dining hall, evenings at the student center. It was exhausting, but the money covered my expenses. I video called Jasmine every weekend. Girl, how are you surviving? She'd ask, amazed. Spite and coffee, I'd joke. But honestly, I was thriving. My grades were excellent, my professors liked me, and I'd made a few friends. My parents called twice in the first month. Both times, they asked when I was coming home for a visit. I made excuses. They never once asked how classes were going or if I needed anything. Derek's car was repossessed in late September. Apparently, my parents had co-signed a loan to cover part of the cost, and Derek hadn't been making payments. Mom called crying, asking if I could lend them $2,000 to get it back. I almost laughed. No, Mom. That's not my problem. How can you be so cold? We're family. Then act like it. I hung up. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you stay updated. Let's continue. October brought midterms and a cold snap. I studied in the library until midnight most nights, fueled by free coffee from my dining hall job. My grades were perfect, straight A's across all 5 classes. My biology professor, Dr. Martinez, asked me to be a peer tutor. "You have a gift for explaining complex concepts simply," she said. The position paid $15 an hour. I accepted immediately. Now I was working 4 campus jobs while maintaining a perfect GPA. It was grueling, but every dollar in my account felt like proof. Proof I could do this. Proof they were wrong about me. Becca became a good friend. She noticed I never talked about my family. One night, after I dodged another question, she said gently, "You don't have to talk about it. But if you want to, I'm here." I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her face growing angrier. When I finished, she hugged me tight. "You're the strongest person I know." Seriously. That meant more than she realized. Thanksgiving approached, and Becca invited me to her family's dinner. My parents already said yes. They'd love to have you. I accepted gratefully. I wasn't ready to go home. Maybe I never would be. My parents sent exactly one text on Thanksgiving: "Hope you're having a good day." Nothing about missing me. Nothing about their role in my absence. Just empty words. Winter semester started in January, and I added another layer to my plan. I applied for a competitive research assistant position in Dr. Martinez's lab. Only 2 spots were available for freshmen, and 50 students applied. I spent a week preparing my application, detailing my academic record, work ethic, and genuine passion for medicine. Dr. Martinez had already agreed to recommend me. When the acceptance email came in mid-January, I actually cried. The position included a small stipend and would look incredible on medical school applications. I called Carol immediately. "Maya. That's fantastic." She was always my biggest cheerleader now. "Are you going to tell your parents?" I hesitated. "I don't know. They haven't really asked about school." "Their loss, sweetheart. Their loss." My parents did call that week, to ask if I'd reconsider coming home for Derek's birthday. He was turning 24 and apparently wanted to clear the air. "I'm busy with school," I said flatly. "Maya, you're holding a grudge. It's been 6 months. Dad's voice carried that familiar disappointed tone. "It's not a grudge. It's a boundary. We're your family. You're people who stole from me. Family doesn't do that." I ended the call before he could respond. Becca found me on my bed afterward. "You okay?" "Yeah. Just tired of pretending it doesn't hurt." She hugged me silently. Spring semester brought warmth and new challenges. I took organic chemistry, anatomy, statistics, literature, and joined the pre-med society. My schedule was insane, but I loved every minute. The research position was incredible. Dr. Martinez was studying childhood diseases, and I spent 10 hours a week in her lab, learning techniques that most students didn't see until junior year. She told me I had natural instincts for research. In March, I applied for a summer research fellowship, a prestigious program that provided housing, a stipend, and intensive training. Only 10 students from the entire university would be selected. I crafted my application essay late at night, pouring my heart into it. I wrote about resilience, about proving people wrong, about turning obstacles into fuel. I didn't mention my family specifically, but the emotion was real. Jasmine visited for spring break. We spent 3 days catching up, and she was amazed at how different I seemed. "You're so confident now," she said. "Like you finally know who you are." "I'm learning," I admitted. "Being on my own forced me to figure it out." "Your parents still being jerks?" "They've stopped calling much. I think they expected me to fail and come crawling back by now." "But you didn't," Jasmine grinned. "You're crushing it." I smiled. "Yeah. I really was." The fellowship acceptance came in early April. I was in the library when the email arrived, and I had to cover my mouth to keep from screaming. I'd been selected. Full funding, campus housing all summer, and mentorship from leading researchers. This time, I did call my parents. Not to gloat, but because some small part of me wanted them to be proud. "Hello?" Mom's voice sounded surprised. "Hi, Mom. I wanted to tell you something. I got accepted into a competitive research fellowship for the summer." Silence. "Then, that's nice, honey. Will you get paid?" "Not congratulations. Not we're proud. Just questions about money." "Yes. It includes a stipend." "Good. Because Derek needs help with." I hung up before she could finish. I was done. Completely done hoping they'd change. Dr. Martinez took me out for coffee to celebrate instead. "You earned this, Maya. Your work in the lab has been exceptional. You remind me of myself at your age, driven, focused, unstoppable. Thank you for believing in me." She squeezed my hand. "You made it easy." That night, I blocked my parents' numbers. Not out of anger anymore, but out of self-preservation. I was building something beautiful, and they were just noise. Carol texted her congratulations with 5 exclamation points. That felt like enough family for me. Summer research was transformative. I worked in the lab 40 hours a week, learning advanced techniques and contributing to real studies. The other fellows became close friends, all of us united by our passion for science. In July, Dr. Martinez asked me to co-author a paper on our findings. "Your data analysis was crucial," she explained. "You deserve recognition. A publication." As a freshman, I wanted to call someone to share this impossible accomplishment. But the people who should have cared most weren't in my life anymore. I called Carol instead. She screamed so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. "Maya. You're extraordinary. I'm framing this when it's published. It won't be out for months. I don't care. I'm so proud of you." Those words filled something in me that had been empty since August. Through Carol, I heard updates about my parents. Derek was living with them again, unemployed after quitting his latest job. The car had been sold to pay off the loan. They'd refinanced the house to cover debts. Mom had stopped mentioning me to relatives, pretending I was just busy with school. I felt nothing hearing this. Not satisfaction, not sadness. Just distance. In late July, my dad showed up at campus unannounced. I was leaving the lab when I saw him standing by the entrance, looking uncomfortable in khakis and a polo shirt. My heart jumped, not with joy, but alarm. "Maya," he said, stepping forward. "How did you know where to find me?" "Your aunt told me. We need to talk." I crossed my arms. "About what?" "Your mother and we've been having financial trouble. Derek's situation has been expensive, and we thought." He trailed off, unable to meet my eyes. "You thought you'd ask me for money?" My voice came out flat. "Just a loan. 5,000. We'll pay you back. No. The word felt powerful leaving my mouth. His face reddened. Maya, we're your parents. We raised you, fed you, clothed you. And then you stole my future to buy your grown son a car he couldn't afford. I stepped closer. I don't owe you anything. Not money, not forgiveness, not my time. You've become cruel. No. I've become independent. There's a difference. He stared at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Maybe I'd become someone new, someone who valued herself enough to say no. He left without another word. I went back to my dorm and cried, but not from regret. Sophomore year started with new confidence. I moved into an on-campus apartment with Becca and 2 other friends. My scholarship renewed automatically due to my 4.0 GPA, and I'd been promoted to senior tutor in the biology department. Dr. Martinez invited me to present our research at a regional medical conference in October. It'll be great experience, she said. And it'll strengthen your medical school applications. I stood in front of 100 professionals and presented our findings on childhood autoimmune diseases. My voice shook at first, but then I found my rhythm. When I finished, they applauded. Several doctors approached me afterward with questions and compliments. One doctor handed me her card. If you're interested in pediatric research, contact me. We have internships for promising students. I floated back to campus feeling invincible. This was my life now, full of opportunities I'd created through my own effort. In November, Carol told me my parents had sold Derek's video game collection to make a mortgage payment. Derek had moved out again, couch surfing with friends. They'd asked Carol for money too. She'd refused. They keep asking about you, Carol said carefully. Wanting to know how you afford everything. What do you tell them? The truth. That you're thriving through hard work and determination. Things they never believed you had. I smiled. Perfect. The medical school application process began junior year, and I was ready. Nearly perfect GPA, research publications, leadership positions, glowing recommendations. My personal statement wrote itself, a story of resilience, of proving doubters wrong, of finding strength in adversity. I never mentioned my parents by name, but the essay carried the weight of what I'd overcome. My pre-med advisor called it one of the most compelling statements she'd read. In December, I got into a prestigious summer internship at Children's Hospital, working with pediatric oncologists. The stipend would cover all my expenses and then some. I'd also been saving aggressively. Between my jobs, stipends, and careful budgeting, I had nearly $30,000 in the bank, more than my original college fund would have been. That Christmas, I spent the holiday with Carol's family. She'd become more of a parent to me than my own. On Christmas morning, she handed me an envelope. What's this? Open it. Inside was a check for $10,000. Carol, I can't. It's not charity. It's what you deserved from the beginning. Consider it a very late birthday gift from someone who actually values you. I hugged her tight, crying into her shoulder. Thank you for seeing me. Oh honey, you were always worth seeing. They just chose to be blind. Medical school acceptances started arriving in March of my senior year. I got into 4 programs, including State Medical School, a top-tier institution that rarely accepted in-state students. I walked across campus in a daze. Everything I'd dreamed of was coming true. Not because of my parents' support, but despite their abandonment. The acceptance letter to State Medical included a full scholarship plus a living stipend for students with demonstrated financial need and exceptional merit. I'd have 0 debt for medical school. I posted a simple update on social media, accepted into medical school with full funding. Dreams do come true when you work for them. Within an hour, distant relatives started commenting. Congratulations poured in from cousins, aunts, uncles. Conspicuously absent? My parents and Derek. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Maya? It's Mom. My chest tightened. How did you get this number? Carol. Honey, we saw your post. Medical school. We're so proud. You don't get to be proud. My voice was ice. You didn't believe in me. You stole from me. You told me I'd fail. We were trying to teach you resilience. No. You were choosing Derek over me. Like always. I took a breath. I did this completely without you. And that's how it'll stay. Maya, please. I hung up and blocked the number. My hands shook, but I felt lighter. Graduation day arrived warm and sunny. I wore my cap and gown with honors cords, summa cum laude, graduating top of my class in biology. Carol sat in the audience with her family, cheering loudly when my name was called. After the ceremony, we took pictures by the fountain. Dr. Martinez found me and hugged me tight. I knew from day one you were special. You're going to be an incredible doctor. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. That's what makes you remarkable. As we posed for more photos, I saw them. My parents and Derek, standing at the edge of the crowd, watching. Mom waved tentatively. Dad looked uncomfortable. Derek just looked bitter. I turned back to Carol and my friends, deliberately excluding them from my celebration. They'd shown up uninvited to claim credit for success they'd actively tried to prevent. Carol noticed them too. Want me to ask them to leave? No. Let them watch. Let them see exactly what I became without them. They approached as the crowd thinned. Mom tried to hug me. I stepped back. Congratulations, Maya, Dad said stiffly. Medical school. That's impressive. It is, I agreed. Considering you told me I'd fail without your help. The words hung between us like a wall. We came to apologize, Mom said, eyes watering. We handled things wrong. We see that now. You see that now? After 4 years? I looked at all 3 of them. You stole my college fund. You told me to defer my dreams. You said I was selfish and would fail. And now, when I've succeeded beyond anything you imagined, you want credit? We're your family, Derek said quietly. Doesn't that count for something? Family supports each other. Family doesn't take from each other. I glanced at Carol, who stood protectively beside me. I learned what real family looks like. And it's not you. Dad's face reddened. After everything we did for you. You did the bare minimum parents are supposed to do. Feed me, house me, send me to school. Congratulations on meeting basic requirements. My voice was steady. But supporting me? Believing in me? Protecting what my grandmother left me? You failed. So that's it? Mom wiped her eyes. You're cutting us off forever? I cut you off 3 years ago. You just didn't notice because you never really saw me anyway. I walked away with Carol, leaving them standing there. It should have hurt more. Instead, I felt relief. You okay? Carol asked. Yeah. I really am. That evening, my phone buzzed with a text from my mom. We'll always love you, even if you hate us. I deleted it without responding. Medical school started in August. The campus was smaller but more intense than undergrad. My classmates were brilliant, driven, competitive. I fit right in. I threw myself into studies as anatomy, physiology, pathology, pharmacology. The workload was crushing, but I'd trained for this. 4 years of working multiple jobs while maintaining perfect grades had prepared me for anything. In October, I was selected for a pediatric research track, working with the same doctor who'd given me her card years ago. "I remembered you from that conference," she said. "You had something special even then." By my second year, I was publishing research and volunteering at the Children's Hospital. Watching sick kids smile despite their pain reminded me why I'd chosen this path. I wanted to help people who felt powerless, the way I once had. Carol visited regularly, always bringing my favorite snacks and endless encouragement. She'd become my real family. I heard through relatives that Derek had finally gotten a stable job. My parents had downsized to a smaller house. They'd stopped asking about me through Carol, finally accepting I meant what I said. Sometimes I wondered if I'd been too harsh. Then I'd remember 17-year-old me, watching them steal my future without guilt. And I knew I'd simply chosen myself. I'm in my 3rd year of medical school now, specializing in pediatric oncology. Yesterday, I got news that I've been accepted into one of the most competitive residency programs in the country. Full funding, world-class mentors, the career I've always dreamed of. I called Carol immediately, and she cried happy tears. "Your grandmother would be so proud," she whispered. "She knew you were special." I think about Grandma often. Her $30,000 was meant to give me education. Instead, it taught me something more valuable, that I could survive anything. That my worth wasn't dependent on anyone's approval or support. The girl who stood in her living room 4 years ago, devastated and betrayed, couldn't have imagined this. But she was stronger than she knew. Strong enough to walk away. Strong enough to build a life alone. Strong enough to become the person she was meant to be. My parents don't know about my residency acceptance. They won't know when I graduate medical school. They won't know when I publish my research or treat my first patient or achieve anything else. They chose Derek's car over my future, and in doing so, they lost the right to witness what I became. Do I forgive them? Maybe someday. But forgiveness doesn't mean letting them back in. Some bridges, once burned, stay ash. I'm Dr. Maya Rodriguez now, almost. And I built that title entirely myself. Before you go, drop your location in the comments. I love seeing our global community. And please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next story.